Thank you for joining us. This is Live with Miami's Community News, and I'm Michael Mullen. Today we're going to be talking about mental health. We have two great guests, Dr. Michelle Clark, thank you very much for being here, and Dr. Dominque Leveille.
Yes.
Terrific. Both of you have your PhDs, one specific, both in licensed mental family therapists as well.
Yes.
These are great degrees, and you've been helping a lot of people. And recently, I came across your company, and it's called Bliss Therapy.
Yes, blisstherapy.me.
All right.
Yes.
It was interesting because it is all about me, all right? And when I see bliss, just the words, because words matter, all right? It's calming. It's like instantly. Could you tell us how you came up with that name?
I came up with the name because the idea of therapy being in school, Dr. Clark can attest, it was a lot of our professors was like, the hardest thing is getting the clients to make it to the office, because it's almost like therapy, the idea was similar to going to the dentist. It's like you don't want to go, but you know you need to go. So I wanted to create a business where that when you think of the name, it's already relaxing. It already is inviting. It already makes you feel comfortable so that, and I figured everyone likes Bliss chocolates. Everyone loves a chocolate. So why not see therapy the same way, in a blissful way?
So in a medical setting, if you need to see the doctor, it's typically you're going to go once and 30% chance you're going to get better instantly, but we don't anticipate having you go back again and again and again and again.
Exactly.
But Dr. Clark, to get better, you have to have an awareness about yourself. So when a client goes to you and they start wondering about how long am I going to be here before I get better? What does that sound like in that conversation with you?
It sounds like there isn't a specific time, and as long as you're willing to put in the work and you're willing to be transparent, then we'll see where it takes us. Someone might come in with multiple different things they want to work on, and in my experience, working on one thing at a time and getting that one thing done gets them more excited and shows them that, oh, okay, I have reachable goals.
Wonderful. So right now it's holiday time. We have a couple things that are going on. Well, we have a lot of things that are going on in the world, all right?
Yes.
First of all, we have the holidays. Second, we just had the time change where there's a whole bunch of stuff that's connected to that. We just got done with a very interesting election. We have several wars that are going on, of which somehow we're all connected to that one way or another, either through the family or immediate, and highly emotional issues with all those things. So it's a time for a lot of people get anxious around this time.
Yes.
So what do we do as human beings to have all this stuff and be able to sort of set them aside?
I think it's important for us to kind of look at what's in front of us right now. Like, I know there's a lot going on in the world that if we were to sit down and think about can become extremely overwhelming, but we still have our daily lives to think of. The holidays sometimes put this extra pressure and anxiety of needing to be perfect or wanting to get the best or looking a certain way. So I like to remind my clients to just be in the present and see each thing one at a time and reminding ourselves of control. We can't control it all. So let's stop trying our minds to make us control it. Try to just focus on one thing.
And Dr. Clark, so here we are. We are almost 5 years out from the beginning of COVID. But it's not over, is it?
No, it isn't.
Tell us about the effect that it had and currently is having on people.
Yeah, so in my experience, during COVID, it was a time where people isolated. And so in the initial, it was, I get a time to just be by myself and do different things. After that, it was almost like a seclusion. And so people tried to use electronic devices in an effort to really connect. Now what we're finding is, although people are going back into the workplace and school settings are back in person, people are still having a very difficult time adjusting. And at different stages throughout the life cycle, depending on when, what stage you were at during the pandemic, and now all of those things are having different implications on how someone connects with people. So there are people who've just entered into like college in the last 4 to 5 years. They didn't have a graduation from high school. That's momentous in our society. They also didn't have that transition to go away to school. And so they're adapting now. How do I make friends? Who am I as an adult? What does that look like? Some people transitioned from their 20s to their 30s, 30s to 40s, 60s to 80s. These are big decades that normally we had celebration about, and they don't have that. So there's a feeling of a loss of that ability to have celebrated or memorialized certain things.
And we know, Doctor, that people responded to COVID and all everybody's a little bit different.
Yes, everyone responded differently because if you were already distant from your family, meaning let's say you had just gone off to college and it was your first year away from home, you were trying to adjust to that, and then now trying, because at first everyone tried to just separate, keep distance, and then everything went to shutdown mode. So it's almost like if you went off to college, it's almost like you feel like you weren't successful, like you didn't accomplish because you had to come back home, even though it's not because you did something wrong, but it still feels like a punishment because that wasn't the plan. So everyone who kind of had plans that were changed feels like a form of like disappointment of like, oh, I didn't accomplish it. So am I really good at this? So there was a lot of internal questioning that was happening during and after.
So we know that electronics at 5 years is like a lifetime. So we know that, especially in this arena, we are sort of stuck in this electronic world, right? And there's lots of good things and lots of things that aren't. And I do want to give a shout out to Michael Phelps, who 4 or 5 years ago, when he got on TV, he said, with one of his electronics, I might add, and say, when I need help, I dial up my doctor. So on one hand, it was really good. But let's talk about what it's doing to each of us, with not just with the phones, but the games that we are playing and the catch-up that we're trying to do. So let's talk about
Something that Dr. Clark and I have noticed is that it's creating a lot of separation, because during the pandemic, everyone kind of had to create a bubble, and technology was what helped us to create the bubble. We were told not to touch each other, but we could talk on our phones. So everyone kind of created that community. And when we got out of the pandemic, everyone lost the value of family game night. They lost the value of we can actually talk to each other without being on a device. So we've noticed that it creates a lot of separation in families. Everyone's on their device separately doing something, but not together.
And the separation, that is a real thing, right? Because we were not required to close. So we had essentially shower curtains between people. Wow. That separation here, we had at least one glass thing there, and we'd have another one here. So those are real separations, all right? And that just went on to the next step. I think I shared with you before. I had a pedicure back during the pandemic. My wife was so upset at me that she locked me out of the house. Literally locked me out of the house because she didn't know what to do.
Right.
And it was like, and I thought everybody was like me. I'm used to, I was dealing with everybody, we all were, but everybody responded differently. Yes. And so in today's environment now, when people are trying to come out of their shell, and although those people frequently say, well, there's nothing to it, but there is something to it, it's in the back of their heads. So when you talk with patients, what is it, some of the things that they tell you as far as their struggle to come forth and be free as much as they can from the pandemic, and how not to stay on their machines as long?
It's learning how to communicate all over again. It's learning that technology has created a community within itself. So yes, it can connect us as it did during the pandemic. It can also be really helpful to people who are by themselves and need that sense of togetherness and belonging. But knowing when the right time is to use the devices is important. So when families come in and they're having a difficult time because people aren't communicating effectively, I might say, what would it be like if for just a second or two you timed yourself and just no devices? What might that look like? I don't know. What would that look like? I don't know. Do you think you can try that? And let's just see what happens. And so that's different for each person, what that looks like.
So in our household, we try to, when you come to the house for dinner, leave your phones over here. And I watch them and myself one at a time. Excuse me, I have to go to the bathroom.
Check the phone.
and take the phone. And so we realize that it is not just fun, it is an addiction of sorts, or maybe not just of sorts, that we have to be connected. So why don't you tell us what happens to our brain when we're on our phone and we're going like this, right? Scrolling and scrolling. What's going on in our psyche?
I think, and Dr. Clark can also attest to this as well, I think a lot of it is we're self-soothing. We're giving ourselves the stimulant, the conversations, the love, the attention that we would have been receiving outward. We're kind of giving it to ourselves in this device. Wouldn't you say?
So there's like an instant gratification that comes along with that. And so it's occupying a space that otherwise we would have been able just to center and just be.
Did we wind up being afraid that if we don't do this, we're not going to be able to communicate on the other end because we're spending so much time over here?
I think there's a fear of being left out because our phones have become our excitement, the way we know what everyone is doing. It is, for some people, how they stay very much connected with the world. So it's almost like, am I missing out on something? Is someone reaching out to me and I haven't replied back? So it's like the fear of being left out, the fear of not being a part, even though the phone is stopping you from being a part of what's actually happening in reality in your time.
So, but it's truthful that you are being left out because you're not answering the phone or you're not looking at it. So how do we go through our lives and say, I'm going to put this down and, I'm just not going to pay any attention to here, all right? And I'm going to address it later. What's the self-talk like?
The self-talk is, all right, I'm going to allow myself to be on my device. And then I'm going to allow myself, let's say at 1 o'clock today, to come off of my device for 2 minutes and just see what happens then. And then let me practice this again. Maybe at 5 o'clock, I'll come off for maybe 5 minutes and see what that's like. But it's giving yourself the opportunity to come off on your terms and whatever that is.
That's real. And when you speak, I hear your truth in there. Because how about somebody that answers their phone and they say, hey, I'm in a meeting, I'll call you back. So I always wondered, so why are you answering it? What am I going to miss out on? Why are you saying, I'll call you back?
Exactly.
What is it that goes through our brains? And I include all of us in that.